party people, and welcome back to the Reeants podcast, where I rant about random stuff that's on my mind. I'm your host, Reean, and this is the third episode. Can y'all believe it? I've been consistent for like a while now, and that's so unheard of, because if you look at my previous uploads, they were not consistent at all. So I'm very happy that I'm here and that I'm making an effort to be as consistent as I can be, even if I have a hectic schedule. If you see me looking down, I'm just reading my script, so don't mind that. Today's topic is about losing yourself in a relationship. You know that moment when you're talking to someone about your hobbies and realize, like, wait, where did my hobbies go? Why haven't I spent time alone? And why do I feel like I'm molding my life around this other person that I'm with when I don't mean to? Let's talk about how it happened to me, what I've learned, and how I'm reconnecting with myself again while still being in a relationship, because that can happen. You can heal while still being in a relationship. Just a quick disclaimer before we dive in. I am not an expert in psychology or therapy. This podcast is just me talking about life and what I've been going through. Nothing I say is fact unless I reference it. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Now go get a snack and let's enjoy today's topic. So, what do I mean by losing yourself? To me, it's when your identity starts to fade into the relationship. You stop doing the things that make you feel like you. You spend most of your energy keeping the relationship strong, but slowly your own sense of self gets quieter and quieter. And the crazy part is, it doesn't always happen on purpose. It never happens on purpose. Well, it usually never happens on purpose. It can start out cute, like spending a lot of time with them, wanting to be close and making memories, but before you know it, your life starts to revolve around theirs. A couple years ago, I used to have such a strong solo routine, especially during COVID. Like, I had a very strong solo routine. I journaled, I went on solo dates, walks, and I just enjoyed being in my own little world. But once I got into a previous relationship, I realized that I slowly stopped doing those things. And it wasn't because he told me to stop doing those things or anything. It just kind of happened. And I didn't want to admit it at the time because of my own ego. But I wasn't living for myself anymore. I was living to be in a relationship. And in doing so, I lost my sense of identity, which sucks. Like, you are supposed to know who you are, how you are, and you're supposed to know yourself like the back of your hand. So I lost that sense of self during that relationship, which was no one's fault but mine. I wanted to spend time with that person, and my me time didn't feel as important anymore as it did before. And it definitely took a while to notice, but when I did notice, I was like, wait, I kind of miss myself. Like, this is not how I'm supposed to be. There were definitely signs that I picked up that I ignored in the past, okay? I stopped doing my hobbies or my routines, which include drawing, painting, crocheting, reading, like all those creative hobbies, and I stopped them. Another thing that I realized is that my time revolved around my partner's availability, and it dawned on me that I was putting time aside for that relationship instead of myself. Another one is that if I wasn't with my partner at the time, I would isolate myself instead of hanging out with a group of friends, and that's very toxic. You should have an outlet outside of your relationship, and I didn't realize that until I got out of a relationship and then into a new one a while later. The last thing that I've noticed is that I felt disconnected from my own thoughts and goals. I realized that I put those thoughts and goals into like matching with my partner's thoughts and goals. None of these are extremely terrible on their own, but when you stop feeling like you, that is the red flag. I just want to get this out of the way. In no way, shape, or form am I blaming my ex for my own actions. That's not what this episode is about, okay? I have, however, realized that I was in a toxic relationship with myself, and learning why that happened has also helped me when it comes to healing and reclaiming my identity and who I am as a person. So you may be asking, Reean, why does this happen to people? I'm sure for me, it was like a mix of different things. So I wanted to be low maintenance and easy to love. And with this, I found myself being even more high maintenance than I apparently already was, which led to further complications in that relationship. Another one is being in a honeymoon phase and wanting to soak up all the time together. I know that in the beginning of the relationship, I was in a vulnerable place, which put me in a position where I needed to attach myself to another person, and that was my partner at the time. And that snowballed into something a little bit more complicated, but it got to a point where the attachment was doing more harm than good. Another thing that I did was avoiding conflict or guilt when I chose myself. Like, I didn't want to be an unreliable person to my partner, so I made myself more available than I should have been. I should have been putting that availability into the things that I love doing, like YouTube and crocheting and all of this and that or whatever. The last thing that I realized was this subconscious like people pleasing thing, which ties into the previous point. So me being a people pleaser, or was a people pleaser, I made myself as reliable as I could be in that relationship, which made me not reliable to anything else for myself. But it still hurt to realize that I wasn't doing the things that I used to, and that sucks. So I am now in a new relationship and realize that I don't have to put myself and my partner through that ever again. I think of my mistakes as a learning experience and a building block to becoming a better you that you can imagine. Instead of comparing my previous relationships to the one I'm in now, I'd rather take those mistakes and turn them into lessons to better my relationship with my boyfriend. This past year, I've been trying to reconnect myself and being grounded to who I was before that relationship. So here's what's been helping. I brought back my old hobbies like YouTube and journaling and being organized and If you guys didn't know, I was very inconsistent with my YouTube channel and posting on it. So this is a passion of mine, okay? Making time for your hobbies is so important, especially when you care so much about it. Being able to produce content at a consistent schedule as what I've been doing now is so important for growth, not only numbers wise, but also for my personal growth. I love what I do, and I wouldn't stop doing it just because I'm busy or I'm in a relationship. I find time to do the things that I love in order to make myself happy, which makes my relationship good. Another thing is setting boundaries. When it comes to alone time, I try to do things on my own as much as I can. I love spending time with my boyfriend, but there are times where we both need just a little alone time or time with our family without each other, and that's completely fine. Boundaries are okay. They are not toxic if you think of a middle ground instead of yourself. Of course, I can still try to make time for my relationship and my family. However, now I recognize a healthy balance when it comes to living my life the way I should. Another thing is communication. I communicate to my boyfriend that I need me time, and he's such a sweetheart about it. Communication is so important in a relationship, but understanding what is said is everything. Understanding is not equal to communication. You need to have understanding in order to communicate effectively. I'm not saying that I didn't communicate in my previous relationships, but there were flaws in how I went about it. So instead of being nasty and ominous, I'm working on being patient and empathetic. Communicate effectively and make sure you guys understand each other's point of views. And lastly, I put, and just spending time alone without guilt. Like, that is so important. You should not feel guilty by spending alone time with yourself. You should thrive in that too, because what if your partner is not there to text you or to call you or to be there with you? You have to be okay alone or in the presence of a friend or in the presence of your family. You should not rely on your partner for happiness. Okay, we got that? The biggest shift has been reminding myself that I'm still my own person, even in a relationship. I feel secure and even motivated to improve myself in my relationship. So these are things that work for me and will continue to work for me to ensure myself that I don't lose myself once again. So if this resonates with you, remind yourself that you're not alone. Relationships can be beautiful, but they should never cost you anything like your identity. And keep this in mind. You're allowed to have your own passions. You're allowed to have your own space and your own timeline. You're allowed to care for someone deeply and still choose yourself. That's all for today's episode. If this made you pause and reflect or helped you feel seen, send it to someone else who might need it too. I'll be back every other Wednesday with more real talk and rants about my life. Until then, water your own garden, protect your peace, and don't forget who you are outside of the love that you give.
Spaghetti pababa, pababa, pababa. Spaghetti pataas, pataas, pataas.